What if I told you that one of the most famous families in America, a family that built an empire on love, laughter, and the beautiful, unvarnished truth of their own lives, was guarding a secret? A silence so deep, it echoed louder than any episode, any headline, any social media post. For over a decade, the world has been asking one heartbreaking, relentless question: is Matt Roloff dead? And the answer they've gotten isn't a yes or a no. It's a ghost story. This isn't a story about an actual death. This is a story about a different kind of vanishing. A story about how a family, under the blinding spotlight of reality TV, began to die by 1,000 cuts. Betrayal, money, land, legacy, and a whispering chorus of millions of viewers holding the scorecard. Buckle up. Because the shocking truth about the Roloff family isn't found in a tabloid obituary. It's in the living, breathing heartache playing out right in front of us. Let's rewind to where it all began. The Roloffs weren't just a family, they were a symbol. Little people, big world. The title was a promise. We fell in love with Matt and Amy, two little people who built a literal wonderland, that breathtaking farm in Hillsboro, Oregon, against all odds. We watched their 4 kids, twins Jeremy and Zach, Molly, and Jacob, grow up. We saw the arguments over pumpkins, the chaos of a busy household, Matt's wild, sometimes dangerous inventions, Amy's eye-rolling and steadfast care. It was real. Or it felt real. It felt attainable. Their struggles with dwarfism, their triumphs, their silly fights, it normalized difference in a way few shows ever had. They weren't saints, they were a family. And we, the audience, moved into their living room, their barn, their lives, every single week. But here's the first twist in our ghost story. The very thing that made them beloved, the unflinching camera, became the scalpel that would eventually begin to dissect them. The show needed narrative, conflict, arcs. And slowly, the line between their real marital problems and the storyline of their marital problems began to blur. We watched Matt and Amy's marriage fray, not in private, but in high definition. The tension over the farm, Matt's workaholism, Amy's desire for a cleaner, more organized life, it stopped being a private struggle and started being public entertainment. The foundation of the family was being televised, and the cracks were getting primetime close-ups. Then, in 2012, the official split. The divorce. It was sad, but it felt survivable. Many families go through it. But this was a family business. And the business was them. The farm was not just a home, it was the central character of the show, Matt's life's work, and the family's financial cornerstone. This is where the ghost of Matt Roloff's death first starts to whisper. Because with the divorce, a part of the family did die. The united front, the mom-and-pop dream of Roloff Farms, was gone. And in its place, a cold, hard business negotiation began. Enter the next phase, the Great Farm War. This is the core of our modern tragedy. Amy got half of the 34-acre property in the divorce. Matt wanted to buy her out. The kids, particularly Zach and Jeremy, had always been led to believe, or so they felt, that the farm would be their legacy. That they would carry it on. But Matt, the visionary, the businessman, saw the farm differently. It was his creation, his asset. He offered it to the kids. But the offers, complicated, wrapped in business speak, tied to production companies and financial realities they couldn't meet, felt like traps. Like insults. Zach, in particular, felt this deeply. His relationship with Matt, always complicated, curdled into something painful and distant. You could see it on screen. The light in Zach's eyes when he talked to his father dimmed. The conversations became transactional. What's the offer? What are the terms? Why won't you just give us a chance? And Matt, perhaps feeling misunderstood, perhaps being a pragmatist to a fault, couldn't just give. He needed a deal. Then, the earthquake. In 2022, Matt sold 16 acres of the farm, including the iconic red farmhouse, to a stranger. Not to Zach. Not to Jeremy. To an outsider. For Zach and his wife Tori, this was the ultimate betrayal. It was the death of the dream. Literally. They packed up and moved to Washington, a physical and emotional chasm opening up between them and the farm, between them and Matt. Jeremy and his wife Audrey, who had already begun to distance themselves, building their own beige brand of life away from the show, watched from a distance. The family was now geographically and emotionally splintered. And where is the epicenter of all this pain? Matt Roloff. A man very much alive in body, but in the eyes of a significant portion of his family and the fanbase, what he represented, the patriarch, the keeper of the dream, the benevolent dad, that figure was dying, or perhaps was already dead. This is the shocking death the rumors hint at. It's the death of the father hero we thought we knew. The narrative turned. Matt became, for many, the villain. The ruthless businessman who chose land over his son's heart. But, is that the whole story? Of course not. This is a family ghost story, remember? And every ghost has more than one side. Let's talk about Matt's death from his perspective. Imagine building something from nothing. A swampy piece of land transformed into a tourist destination, a TV set, a family home, all while navigating a world not built for your body. You sacrifice, you dream, you build. You provide not just a life, but a legacy and a literal platform that makes your family millionaires. And then, you're expected to just hand it over. To kids who, in your view, maybe didn't show the same manic, relentless drive to work it. Who wanted the prize without the grueling, decades-long marathon you ran? From Matt's chair, he might feel betrayed. His life's work being seen as an entitlement, not an earned reward. The pressure of being the family bank, the family employer, the family storyline. The weight of that could kill the joy in any man. So a part of Matt Roloff died too. The carefree dreamer was replaced by a defensive, perhaps lonely, negotiator.
Jackson Roloff's health and leg-bowing journey, a story of family, resilience, and medical milestones. Jackson Roloff, the firstborn son of Tori and Zach Roloff, entered the world on May 12, 2017, and instantly captured the hearts of millions. As a central figure on TLC's popular reality series Little People, Big World, Jackson's life has unfolded before the public, particularly his health journey related to his inherited form of dwarfism. Born to two parents with achondroplasia, the most common form of dwarfism, Jackson's diagnosis was expected, but his unique path, particularly concerning leg bowing, has been a focal point of family updates and fan concern. This comprehensive update delves into Jackson's health, his leg bowing journey, the medical interventions undertaken, and what his current status means for his future. Understanding the medical background, achondroplasia and its implications. To fully appreciate Jackson's journey, one must understand achondroplasia. It is a genetic condition that affects bone growth, resulting in disproportionate short stature, with shorter limbs relative to the torso. A common orthopedic complication in achondroplasia is genu varum, or significant bowing of the legs. This is not merely a cosmetic issue. Severe bowing can cause times joint pain, abnormal stress on the knees and ankles, times gait instability, difficulty walking and increased risk of falls, times early arthritis, accelerated wear and tear on joint surfaces, times risk of deformity, progressive worsening if left unaddressed. For Jackson, monitoring this bowing became a critical part of his pediatric care from an early age. His parents, both having navigated their own medical challenges, were proactive in seeking the best evaluations and treatments. The early years, monitoring and the decision point. In early episodes and social media posts, fans watched Jackson grow from an infant to an energetic toddler. While his developmental milestones were largely on track, the curvature in his legs became more pronounced as he began to bear weight and walk. Tori and Zach were transparent about their regular checkups with pediatric orthopedists, specialists familiar with skeletal dysplasias. The key question for the family and their medical team was, would the bowing correct itself with growth, or would it require surgical intervention? For many children with achondroplasia, a degree of bowing is typical and may stabilize. However, when the bowing is severe enough to risk the long-term complications listed above, surgery becomes a recommended path to ensure mobility and pain-free function. The surgical journey, guided growth and osteotomy. After consistent monitoring and consultations with top specialists, the Roloffs decided around 2022 to 2023 that Jackson would benefit from orthopedic surgery. The primary goal was to straighten his legs to improve his gait, prevent pain, and safeguard his long-term orthopedic health. The specific procedure Jackson underwent is known as guided growth surgery, hemiepiphysiodesis. This minimally invasive surgery involves placing small, temporary plates and screws on the inner side of the growth plates around the knee. These implants tether or slow down growth on that side, while the outer side continues to grow normally. Over time, typically 12 to 24 months, this gradual, guided growth slowly straightens the bone. It's a powerful technique that leverages a child's own growth to correct the deformity. In some complex cases, or for older children, a more immediate correction via osteotomy, cutting and realigning the bone, might be necessary. While the Roloffs have not disclosed the minutiae of Jackson's surgical plan, the principles of guided growth align with the timeline and updates they've shared. Recovery and rehabilitation, a family effort. The Roloffs documented parts of Jackson's recovery with care and positivity, always mindful of his privacy. Updates showed: 1. Immediate post-op, Jackson was brave and resilient. There was an initial period of pain management, mobility assistance, using a wheelchair or walker, and adapting to daily life with limitations. 2. Physical therapy, a crucial component of recovery. Therapy focused on maintaining strength, restoring his range of motion, and relearning to walk with a new, straighter alignment. His natural exuberance and the support of his parents and younger brother, Josiah, were major assets. 3. The emotional component. Tori and Zach consistently emphasized Jackson's emotional well-being. They celebrated small victories, normalized the process, and ensured he felt empowered, not defined by his treatment. Jackson Roloff Health Update. Where is he now? As of late 2024, Jackson Roloff is thriving. Based on the most recent family shares on social media and the show Times active lifestyle, Jackson is an energetic, playful 7-year-old. He is often seen running, playing soccer, helping on the family farm, and engaging in typical childhood activities with increased stability and confidence. Times visible progress, photos and videos show a significant improvement in the alignment of his legs. His gait appears more stable and natural. Times medical management, he continues with regular orthopedic follow-ups to monitor his growth and the success of the procedure. The guided growth plates may be removed once optimal alignment is achieved. Times overall health, beyond orthopedics, Jackson manages the common health considerations of achondroplasia, such as monitoring for sleep apnea and ear infections, with the guidance of a specialized care team. He is a happy, bright boy who excels in school and enjoys a rich family life. The role of family and public platform. Zach and Tori Roloff have walked a careful line with Jackson's journey. They have used their platform to Times raise awareness, educating the public about achondroplasia beyond stereotypes. Times offer support, connecting with other families facing similar medical decisions. Times advocate for choice, emphasizing that every child and family's path is unique. Their decision for surgery was personal and medically advised, not a universal prescription for all little people with bowing. Times normalize difference. Most importantly, they have raised Jackson, and his siblings, in an environment where his dwarfism is a part of him, but does not limit his dreams or define his identity. Looking ahead, long-term outlook. The long-term prognosis for Jackson is excellent. The intent of the leg-straightening surgery is preventive and quality-of-life focused. By addressing the bowing in childhood, the medical team aims to Times eliminate or drastically reduce future knee and joint pain. Times prevent the need for more drastic surgeries, like joint replacements, in early adulthood. Times allow him unrestricted participation in the sports and activities he loves. Times provide a stable. Jackson Roloff's leg-bowing journey is more than a medical update. It's a modern narrative of parenting, disability, and proactive healthcare in the public eye. It showcases the importance of specialized medical care for skeletal dysplasias, the effectiveness of modern orthopedic techniques, and the incredible resilience of children. Through the love and advocacy of Tori and Zach, Jackson is not just managing a condition, he is flourishing. His story continues to inspire families around the world, reminding us that,
Okay. Stop everything. Rewind the tape. Let's go back to a moment that, for millions of viewers, felt like a permanent postcard. The sun is dappling over that 100-acre farm in Oregon. There's the smell of pumpkin spice in the air. A little red-haired boy is navigating the world on crutches, his brothers are getting into some hilarious mischief in the barn, and at the center of it all are the parents. The anchors. The undeniable, rock-solid team of Matt and Amy Roloff. Their bickering was a language of love, their differences a comedy routine, their commitment the very foundation of the sprawling, chaotic, beautiful world of Little People, Big World. They were the couple you argued with but always made up. The couple who built a legacy, literally, from the ground up. They were forever. Until they weren't. The divorce of Matt and Amy Roloff, finalized in 2016, wasn't just a tabloid headline. It was an earthquake that fractured the very landscape of America's most beloved reality TV family. We watched it happen in real time. The tense negotiations over the farm, the new partners entering the frame, the shifting alliances. We thought we'd processed it. We thought the dust had settled. But here's the hook, the twist that nobody saw coming in those early days of the split. The most shocking divorce in the Roloff family wasn't Matt and Amy's. It was the divorce that happened after the divorce. The silent, devastating, and far more complex uncoupling of the entire Roloff family from each other, from the farm, and from the very identity that made them famous. What began as the end of a marriage spiraled into a multi-generational saga of betrayal, business, legacy, and the brutal cost of living your life under a microscope. This is the story of how one divorce led to many fractures. This is the story of the Roloff second, and far more painful, divorce. Let's set the stage properly. Little People, Big World premiered on TLC in 2006. It was a genuine phenomenon. Here was a family not defined by their dwarfism, but dynamically living with it. Matt, the visionary, dreamer, and sometimes stubborn patriarch with his endless farm projects. Amy, the pragmatic, organized, heart-of-the-home matriarch trying to keep the chaos at bay. And their 4 children, twins Jeremy and Zach, both with dwarfism, Molly, and Jacob. They were relatable. Their fights over messes, their financial stresses, their teenage dramas, it was all magnified by the unique challenges they faced, but at its core, it was a family. Our family, in a way. We invested in them. For over a decade, the show's central narrative engine was the will they or won't they of Matt and Amy's relationship. Their chemistry was undeniable, even if it was often a chemistry of conflict. Matt's big ideas clashed with Amy's desire for order. His risk-taking grated against her caution. But through it all, there was a bond, forged in raising 4 kids, building a pumpkin season empire, and navigating a world not built for people their size. We rooted for them. We believed in the big world they built together. Then, in 2015, the announcement. Amy confirmed they had separated after 27 years of marriage. The official reason. A gradual drifting apart. But for astute viewers, the cracks had been visible for seasons. Matt's increasing retreat into his farm projects and his separate dwelling in the DW, the dwarf warehouse, a converted barn on the property. Amy's growing frustration at being a farm widow. The palpable tension during family meetings. The divorce played out on camera, a masterclass in uncomfortable reality TV. We saw the painful division of assets, most notably the fight over the family farm, Roloff Farms. This, right here, was the first crack in the foundation that would eventually swallow everything else. The farm wasn't just land. It was Matt's life's work, his identity, his ultimate project. For Amy, it was the family home, the repository of every memory, the business she helped build. It became a proxy war for their entire relationship. Matt wanted to buy her out and keep it holy. Amy wanted her fair share and, at times, seemed to want to deprive him of total control. It was bitter. It was financial. And it was televised. In 2016, the divorce was final. Amy moved to a nearby house on the property, then eventually off the farm entirely to a new home. Matt remained, now the sole monarch of his kingdom, albeit a kingdom with a very complicated history. And we, the audience, breathed a sigh of melancholic acceptance. Well, we thought, that's that. The chapter is closed. Now we'll see their new lives, their new loves. It'll be different, but the family will endure. Oh, how naive we were. Because the divorce of Matt and Amy wasn't an endpoint. It was a catalyst. It unleashed a tidal wave of unresolved issues, business entanglements, and deep-seated familial wounds that had been festering under the glossy surface of TV fame for 15 years. The family business, Roloff Farms, was now a corporation. The children were no longer kids. They were adults with their own families, perspectives, and stakes in the legacy. And the camera kept rolling, documenting every awkward holiday, every tense conversation, every veiled comment. Enter the new partners. Matt found love with Karen Chandler, the farm's longtime office manager. A woman who had been in the background for years, a friend to both Matt and Amy. The optics were complicated. For many fans, Karen was immediately cast as the villain, the interloper, the possible cause of the divorce, allegations both
For Tori and Zach Roloff, the beloved couple from TLC's Little People, Big World, their family narrative has always been one of resilience, love, and, well, keeping us guessing. They've built their beautiful, chaotic life on the Roloff farm and beyond, with their 3 wonderful kids, Jackson, Lila, and Josiah. They've been open about their joys, their struggles, and the heart-wrenching decision to step away from the family farm. We watched them declare their family complete. But lately, there's been a whisper. A shift in the wind. A certain glow in photos, a cryptic comment in an interview, a dream shared that feels more like a premonition. It leads to one burning question that has fans buzzing across social media. Are Tori and Zach Roloff secretly planning for baby number 4? Let's rewind for a moment, because to understand the present, we have to look at the path that brought them here. Tori and Zach's love story unfolded right before our eyes. From their first dates to their fairytale wedding, they invited us in. Then came the excitement of their first pregnancy with Jackson. They navigated the unknowns of his diagnosis with dwarfism with such grace and honesty, making them relatable to so many. Their journey became a beacon for parents facing unexpected medical journeys. Then came Lila, their sweet daughter, completing what many thought was the perfect picture, a boy and a girl. The family of 4. But Tori and Zach had always spoken about a bigger family. And after a devastating miscarriage, a pain they shared with raw vulnerability, they welcomed their rainbow baby, Josiah. 3 children. A full, loud, loving home. In the aftermath of Josiah's birth, the message seemed clear. They talked about the physical and emotional toll. Tori spoke openly about her difficult pregnancies, her struggles with postpartum anxiety, and Zach echoed the challenges of balancing a growing family, his career, and their very public life. The phrase "our family is complete" was uttered more than once. It felt definitive. A period at the end of the sentence. So, why are we now reading between the lines? Why does the rumor mill, for once, feel less like gossip and more like a collective intuition? Let's break down the clues, the breadcrumbs that have fans connecting the dots. First, the social media aura. Go scroll through Tori's Instagram. It's a gorgeous, curated look into their lives, full of messy moments, sweet snuggles, and beautiful landscapes. But lately, there's a frequency of posts that feel nostalgic, reflective. Posts about how fast the kids are growing, with captions that dwell on the fleeting nature of the baby years. There was a recent photo of Tori holding a friend's newborn, her expression one of pure, wistful adoration. The comments section exploded. "You need one more. Baby fever. You look so natural, it's time." And while Tori is a master of the graceful non-answer, she's been liking more and more of these comments. It's subtle, but it's there. Second, the verbal shifts. In a recent podcast interview, Zach was asked about the possibility of more kids. Previously, his answer was a firm, "No, we're done." This time, it was, "You never know what God's plan is." A classic non-denial denial. Tori, in a Q&A, when asked if she'd ever consider another pregnancy, didn't say no. She said, "It's a complicated question. My heart says one thing, my body says another. We're just taking it day by day and seeing where life leads us." That is a massive shift from "we're complete." It's the language of possibility. Third, the life logistics. They moved into their dream home, a space they designed and built. It's spacious, it's tailored for their family's needs. But was there an extra room? A flexible space that could easily become a nursery? Observant fans have noted that in house tours, there's always one room that's vaguely referred to as the guest room office, but it looks suspiciously ready for a crib. Furthermore, with Jackson starting school and Lila not far behind, there is a logistical window opening. The intense, all-hands-on-deck phase of 3 very young children is transitioning. That shift often opens up emotional and physical space for parents to reconsider the family portrait. But we cannot, and must not, discuss this without weighing the very real, very heavy counterarguments. This isn't just a game of clues. This is real life with real consequences. Tori's pregnancies have been medically challenging. She has diastasis recti, a separation of the abdominal muscles, that was severe after Josiah. She's spoken about the pain, the long recovery, the impact on her mental health. Pregnancy for a woman with dwarfism also carries unique risks and requires careful, high-risk monitoring. Zach has also been open about his own health, his past brain surgery, and the need to manage stress. Adding a newborn to the mix is not a decision made lightly. They are incredibly responsible parents who prioritize the well-being of their existing family unit. Then there's the financial and emotional calculus. They are no longer on Little People, Big World in a regular capacity. Their income now comes from social media, podcasts, and Zach's real estate ventures. Another child is another college fund, another mountain of diapers, another lifetime of responsibility. And emotionally, they've just been through a tectonic shift, leaving the Roloff farm drama behind, setting boundaries with family, and establishing their own independent identity. Is now the time to add the beautiful chaos of a newborn? So, where does this leave us? Are they, or aren't they? Here's the twist, the heart of the matter. Maybe the question isn't are they expecting, but what does expecting mean for them now? Perhaps the plans aren't for a traditional pregnancy. Adoption has always been a topic close to their hearts. They've mentioned it in passing for years. Could they be expecting in the sense of pursuing adoption, fostering, or even embryo adoption? This would align with their pro-life values, their desire for a larger family, and could be a way to circumvent Tori's difficult pregnancies. It would be a powerful, inspiring next chapter for them. Or, perhaps, they are in a genuine state of joyful ambivalence. They are allowing themselves to dream, to hope, but without a firm timeline or plan. They are, as Tori said, taking it day by day. They might be waiting for a definitive sign, a feeling of absolute certainty. In a world that demands black and white answers, they are living comfortably in the gray area of maybe. And let's consider one more profound possibility. The new baby might be metaphorical. Tori has her teaching career, her book ventures. Zach has his business pursuits. Their podcast, Raising Heights, is like a baby they're nurturing. Their new baby plans could be about expanding their brand, building a new legacy entirely separate from the farm, and focusing on the 3 incredible children they already have. This period of speculation from fans might coincide with them planning a big, new project, a move, a show, a business that they haven't announced yet.
Okay, pull up a chair. I need you to think back. Think back to the most definitive moment of your life. The one you point to and say, that's when everything changed. For most of us, it's a quiet realization, a slow dawning. But for Tori and Zach Roloff, it was a single, earth-shattering phone call. A call that didn't just announce a new baby, but rewrote their entire story, challenged their deepest fears, and sent shockwaves of disbelief, joy, and pure, unadulterated "how is this possible?" through their entire family. This is the story of that moment. The birth, the revelation, and the beautiful, complicated, utterly shocking journey that brought not one, but 2 tiny miracles into the world of Little People, Big World. Let's set the stage. To truly understand the magnitude of this shock, we have to go back. We have to understand the Roloff lexicon. The name Roloff for over 2 decades has been synonymous with Little People, Big World. The groundbreaking TLC reality show that invited America into the life of Matt and Amy Roloff, their 4 children, and their iconic farm in Hillsboro, Oregon. We watched the kids grow up. We saw the marriages, the struggles, the triumphs. And we became deeply invested in their lives, especially when it came to family planning. Because in this family, genetics are not a subtle whisper. They are a central character. Matt and Amy are both little people, with achondroplasia being the most common form of dwarfism. Their children presented a real-world lesson in dominant gene inheritance. Their eldest, twins Jeremy and Zach, are both little people. Their daughter, Molly, is average height. Their youngest, Jacob, is average height. We saw the conversations, the worries, the statistics played out in real life. When Zach, a little person with achondroplasia, fell in love with and married Tori, an average height schoolteacher, those genetic conversations moved from the abstract to the intensely personal. We followed their journey with their firstborn, Jackson. The anxiety of the pregnancy, the waiting, the testing. And then the confirmation. Jackson inherited his father's achondroplasia. It was a journey of acceptance and immense love. They embraced their role as parents to a little person, learning about medical needs, advocacy, and building a world where he would thrive. Then came their second son, Lila. Another pregnancy filled with genetic curiosity. And another outcome where Lila, too, was born with achondroplasia. At this point, a narrative, unintentional but powerful, began to form in the public mind, and perhaps even in their own. The Roloff-Lant genetic combination seemed to strongly favor achondroplasia. The odds, while always 50-50ths with each pregnancy, felt destined. Tori and Zach openly discussed their family planning. They spoke about the real medical considerations, the risks to a little person mother, the potential need for C-sections, the different prenatal care. After Lila, they hinted that their family might be complete. The chapter of pregnancy, with its unique stresses, seemed to be closing. But life, as it so often does, had a different plot twist waiting in the wings. The announcement of Tori's third pregnancy was a surprise in itself. But almost immediately, Tori and Zach did something different. They were coy, mysterious. In social media posts and show clips, they hinted that this pregnancy felt different. Tori had extreme nausea. She was measuring large. There were whispers and winks. The fan theories started flying. Could it be twins? But that seemed almost too fantastical. Too dramatic even for the Roloffs. The idea was brushed off as wishful thinking by fans. After all, twins aren't that common, and there was no recent family history on Tori's side. Zach's twin is a fraternal twin, a different genetic scenario. So, the world waited. And on November 19, 2021, the wait ended. Imagine the scene. It's a planned C-section, a common and often safer delivery method for little people moms due to pelvic bone structure. The medical team is prepared. Zach is there, camera in hand, a bundle of nerves. The atmosphere is one of focused routine. They were ready to welcome their third child. A sonogram had shown one healthy baby. One heartbeat. The expectation was set in stone. The procedure begins. There's tension, but it's the known tension of any birth. And then, the first baby is born. A beautiful, crying, healthy baby boy. Josiah Luke Roloff. Emotions overflow. Tears of joy. The relief is palpable. A moment of pure completion. You know that moment. That split second where you're just going about your day, maybe you're tidying up a drawer, or sorting through some old papers, and your fingers brush against something. Something that doesn't belong. Something that shouldn't be there. And in a heartbeat, the entire floor of your life seems to drop away. The air gets cold. Your heart pounds in your ears. And you realize, with a terrifying clarity, that nothing is as it seems. That, my friends, is exactly where Amy Roloff found herself. Not in front of the cameras of Little People, Big World, but in a quiet, private moment of shock that has now exploded into a legal wildfire, threatening to consume legacies, tear families apart, and rewrite history. What did she find? A document? A photograph? A piece of jewelry? The answer is more profound, and has far higher stakes than any of us could have imagined. Buckle up, because this is more than gossip. This is a revelation that strikes at the very core of family, trust, and what we think we own. Welcome in, I'm your host, and we're going deep on the story that has reality TV fans and legal experts alike staring, open-mouthed, at the unfolding drama. This isn't just a tabloid headline. This is a slow-burning fuse that was lit by a single, jaw-dropping discovery in Amy Roloff's own home, and it's leading us into a labyrinth of lawsuits, bitter accusations, and a question that will haunt everyone involved. How long has this been going on? Let's set the stage. Amy Roloff. Matriarch. Entrepreneur. Survivor. A woman who invited us into her family, her marriage, her divorce, and her new beginning for over 2 decades. We watched her build a life at Roloff Farms, pour her soul into that soil, and then, with immense courage, walk away to start anew after her split from Matt. We cheered her wedding to Chris Marek. We saw her claim her independence. The narrative, at least the public one, seemed to be one of hard-won peace and forward motion. But beneath that surface of pumpkin seasons and fresh starts, a quiet, legal and personal earthquake was waiting to happen. And it all centers on that word we so often hear in wills, divorces, and business deals, but rarely understand the full, explosive power of property. Now, to understand the magnitude of this discovery, we have to rewind. The Roloff Farms property is not just a piece of land. It's a character in the story. It's 100+ acres of history, struggle, and identity. When Matt and Amy divorced, the division of assets was, as you can imagine, complex and deeply painful. The core of the settlement, as reported, was this: Matt would buy out Amy's share of the property. She would receive a lump sum and retain a life estate in the so-called farmhouse portion, meaning she could live in that specific house for the rest of her life. She then moved to her new house with Chris, renting out the old farmhouse. Matt, in turn, owned the rest of the land and the business. This was the public resolution. The chapter was closed. Or was it? Here is where the story turns. According to multiple legal sources close to the situation, Amy, while reviewing or organizing documents related to the farmhouse, perhaps for tax purposes, perhaps for maintenance, came across a piece of paper. A filing. A legal notation. Something that stopped her cold. It wasn't a love letter or a hidden diary. It was a dry, bureaucratic piece of evidence that suggested the terms of her divorce settlement, the very foundation of her financial security and her tangible link to the farm, may not have been executed correctly. Or, in the more damning interpretation being whispered, intentionally. The whispers point to a few chilling possibilities. Was her life estate improperly recorded, leaving her rights vulnerable? Was there a lien or a claim against the property she knew nothing about? Did she discover that actions had been taken with her asset, the farmhouse she technically still owned a life interest in, without her knowledge or consent? The exact nature of the document is being guarded like a state secret by her legal team, but the implication is clear. Amy Roloff believed she had one financial and legal reality, and this piece of paper revealed an entirely different one. Think about that betrayal of trust. This isn't about a forgotten birthday. This is about the bedrock of your post-divorce life. The agreement you signed, with lawyers present, after a painful emotional negotiation. To then suspect, years later, that the playing field wasn't just uneven, but the map you were given was of the wrong terrain. The psychological impact is devastating. And so, Amy did what any of us would hope to do: she lawyered up. And not just any lawyer. She brought in a heavyweight, a legal pit bull known for complex, high-stakes property and family law. The first lawsuit was filed quietly, a procedural move to essentially freeze the situation and demand a full, forensic accounting of every transaction, every deed, every filing related to the farm property since the day the divorce decree was signed. This is where the chaos truly began. Because in the world of law, one lawsuit begets another. Matt Roloff, faced with these allegations, had no choice but to respond in kind. His legal team fired back, calling Amy's claims frivolous, a revision of history, and a transparent attempt to relitigate a settled divorce for financial gain. They argued that everything was done by the book, that Amy was fully informed, and that this was buyer's remorse or worse, poisoning by new influences in her life, a not-so-subtle nod to her husband, Chris Marek. But then, the plot thickened. It wasn't just Matt in the crosshairs. As the discovery process in Amy's lawsuit began, that pre-trial phase where each side can demand documents and depositions, a trail, allegedly, began to emerge. A trail that didn't just lead to Matt, but potentially involved the business operations of Roloff Farms. And who has been deeply involved in that business for years? Amy and Matt's son, Zach Roloff. Zach and his wife, Tori, had their own very public, very painful breakup with the farm. Remember the emotional episodes where Matt and Zach couldn't agree on a price for a portion of the land? Zach felt the offer wasn't fair, wasn't family. He felt his father was treating him like just another buyer. It was a rift that moved them to Washington, away from the family legacy. The wounds were deep and very real. Now, legal sources suggest that Amy's discovery may have inadvertently pulled back the curtain on financial and property management practices that predated Zach's negotiations. Did Zach, during his time working closely with Matt, see or suspect things that aligned with what Amy found? Were there side deals, verbal agreements, or financial arrangements about the land that Amy's life estate touched upon? The lawsuit chaos created a vortex, and Zach was potentially being pulled into it, not as a plaintiff, but as a key witness. A witness with his own baggage, his own grievances, and his own loyalty to his mother. Imagine the family dinners now. The text message chains. The holiday gatherings. The air isn't just frosty, it's litigious. Amy is suing Matt. Matt is countersuing Amy. Their son is potentially caught in the middle, holding information that could sink one side or the other. And let's not forget the other children, Jeremy, Molly, and Jacob, who are watching the family empire and their own potential inheritances become battlegrounds in a war they didn't start. This is no longer a simple contract dispute. This is a Shakespearean drama playing out in court filings and depositions. It's King Lear on a pumpkin farm. It's about aging parents, control of a kingdom, and the children caught in the succession battle. And the hook, the twist that makes this so uniquely devastating? It's the medium. This is a family that built its fortune, its brand, on selling authenticity. On letting us see their real-life struggles with dwarfism, marriage, parenting, and business. The audience's trust was built on the idea that while the situations might be heightened for TV, the emotions were real. Now, the ultimate, gut-wrenching, off-camera emotion, betrayal, may have been real all along, and it was happening off-screen, only to blow up in the most public way possible. The lawsuits are demanding more than money. They are demanding a rewriting of the family narrative. Amy's case, at its heart, is saying, the story you thought was true, the story of my dignified exit and secure future, was a fiction. I was misled. Matt's defense is saying, the story is true. You are choosing to rewrite it now out of spite or greed. Every new legal motion is a new chapter in this awful story. A motion to compel production of Matt's personal financial records. A subpoena for farm business accounts from the years Zach was involved. A deposition notice for Chris Marek, probing his knowledge and influence. It's a sprawling, messy, and profoundly sad legal war of attrition. What's at stake? Let's be brutally clear. 1. Amy's financial future. Her life estate and the value she received in the buyout are in question. If her claim succeeds, she could be owed millions in adjusted value, damages, or a reclaiming of property. 2. Matt's control and legacy. His ability to control, sell, or pass on Roloff farms as he sees fit is under direct threat. His reputation as a businessman and a father is on the line. 3. The family's fabric. This isn't a rift. This is a canyon. The toxicity of litigation, with its accusations and discoveries, often makes family reconciliation impossible. 4. The show itself. Can Little People, Big World continue if its central family is engaged in a bitter, active lawsuit? The show's premise is family unity amidst struggle, not family destruction in a courtroom. So, where are we now? As of this recording, the cases are grinding through the Oregon court system. There are motions for summary judgment, attempts by Matt's team to get the case thrown out before a trial. Amy's team is fighting those fiercely, arguing that the discovery process has only just begun to uncover the truth. There is talk of mediation, but sources say the positions are so hardened, so fueled by a sense of personal betrayal on Amy's side and a sense of being unjustly attacked on Matt's, that a settlement seems distant. The greatest tragedy here is the echo of that initial moment. That moment of discovery in a quiet room. Amy Roloff wasn't looking for a fight. She was, we assume, just going about her life. She found a piece of paper. And that piece of paper may have revealed that the home she built, the family she raised, and the divorce she survived were all built on a foundation she now cannot trust. The chaos of the lawsuit is just the loud, public aftermath. The real story is that silent, chilling, jaw-dropping moment of discovery. And for the Roloffs, there's no going back to the time before it. This is a story still being written by lawyers and a judge. But its emotional chapters were written long ago, in the unspoken tensions of a family that lived too much of its life in front of us. We were always watching their world. We just never knew we were watching a prelude to a court case. I'll be following every filing, every development. Because this is more than celebrity news. It's a masterclass in how secrets, property, and family can combine into the most volatile